Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, last week I got an email from a viewer asking if I wanted to buy his old BMW Z3. He said it had sat on his driveway for a number of years and it needed a bit of TLC. So, obviously, I said yes. I really like the Z3. I haven't had one for a good number of years, but I thought this would be a good opportunity to buy one again. See what they're like in 2023. As you can tell, I'm in my old 1995 Mercedes SL. The trouble with older cars, especially when you got the radio off, they rattle from everywhere. There's a fresh one that I developed from my door card. Based on Richard's description of the car, I offered £1,500 for it. I really didn't know how to value this one. I figured with him saying it needs a bit of TLC, I need to err on the side of caution. I got a reply back straight away saying that he was really after £2,000 for it, and then in all honesty I forgot to reply. I get that many emails. I do try my best to reply to them all, but sometimes something comes up and I end up dealing with that problem instead of replying to the email. On this occasion my lack of reply actually worked, because about 3 or 4 days later he replied to say, "Listen Matt, I've been thinking, £1,500 is okay then, I'll accept your offer." So I thought, right, well, I think that's quite a good price for us both. I arranged for the transport company to go down to, where was it now? Worcestershire, I think. They collected it and delivered it for me on my car park. So I thought today we could go and have a look around this car together. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it. I'm half tempted to keep it. I think now's the time to buy a Z3, to be honest. I've thought this for the last couple of years. I think they've just hit classic status. Every time I see one these days, which isn't all that often, I can't help but think, what a cool car that is. Anyway, before I get too carried away, we better go and have a look around it, hadn't we? See how bad it is. Right, I shall see you there. Oh, lovely. Here comes the rain. Perfect weather for buying a Z4, isn't it? Well, here we are. That actually, I know I'm still a good 10 metres from it, but that actually looks really good. Black with a black roof, with a black interior. It's a pre-facelift model, I think, 99V. That looks quite cool, actually. Nice from afar. Let's just hope that it's not far from nice. That looks cool. I like that. Right, we've got a little bit of a scuff and a split indicator or reflector. Headlamps could do with a polish. Fresh set of plates. Standard stuff, this. I know it's hard to tell in the rain, but the bodywork doesn't look too bad. It's covered in cobwebs. It just looks like, well, like it's been sat for 3 or 4 years, to be honest. We've got some land sale tyres, I think. That's quite cool. Right, let's find out a bit more about it then using Car Vertical. We'll do a vehicle history check. All you do is go to carvertical.com, type in the VIN or the reg. In this case, we know the reg. It is Victor 691 Foxtrot Delta Lima Fiddle. This really isn't great weather, is it? On the bright side, we'll be able to see if the roof holds out the water. By the way, if you want to do any of these checks for yourself, and I urge you to do so before you hand over any cash for a used car or motorbike, then use my promo code HIGHPEAK and you'll get 10% off each and every check that you do. It's currently checking databases all over Europe. It checks databases in about 35 different countries. You might think that's not really helpful, but with an older car it is. You never know, this might have had a whack in Warsaw or a haircut in Hungary. This will tell us. View report. So, it's never been stolen. It's never had a mileage rollback, there's no outstanding finance, and there's no recorded damage. Here we go then. The 1999 BMW Z3 is a sleek and stylish sports car with several engine options. Right. This has done no miles every year. Right. So the last no mileage was 90,449. That was in June 23. Prior to that, it was August 21, and it had done 200 miles less. In 2008, it had done 75,000 miles. So since 2008, it's done 15,000 miles in 15 years. So it'd done most of its miles then by the time it was 7 years old. Right. It's a 2 litre, not the old 1.9. It's a petrol manual, 1999, okie dokie. First registered in October 99. As you remember, the Z3 was first used by Pierce Brosnan in GoldenEye in 1995, I think. I remember watching that thinking that was the coolest car ever. Then, of course, he had an E38 and a Z8 and all sorts of stuff. Let's see if there are any ridiculous advisory items. Quite a few here, every single year. It's not a good sign, is it? In 2021, it failed on near side position lamp, anti-roll bar linkage, brake pipe corroded, wiper doesn't clear, brake pipes, right, okay. Right, I think, may as well go and have a look at it, hadn't we? Right then. They're tiny, aren't they, these? Really small. I've just spotted quite a pronounced dent there, but I think the lads from Dents will be able to get that out. I'll have to give them a call. We've got a land sail on about 6 mil. It is full of cobwebs as well. There's no rot on the arches though. That's actually quite... I wonder if this has been garaged. I know I'm like a broken record, but I think this would benefit from a really good buff. The paintwork looks as though it's never had one. We've got a land sail on the front on about 6 mil. They're decent tyres, you know. Not the best brand, granted, but there's no lip. They look a bit corroded, but there's no lip on the brake discs. This is the trouble when you leave cars to sit. I mean, look at the moss growing there. In fact, what are the sills like? Bit of corrosion there, isn't there? All the little rubber seals have perished. And worryingly, the roof, the hood is in a bit of a mess, isn't it? It's going to need a proper valet, this. It started to sort of shrink as well, I guess, with time. The headlamps would buff back, I think. We've got a cracked fog lamp there that wants replacing. I think this could clean up really nicely. So we need a new indicator there, or reflector, or whatever it is. Little bit of paint, or perhaps touch that in, buff it and touch in maybe. More cobwebs, more spiders. Good job I don't suffer from arachnophobia, isn't it? And a fourth matching land sail. On the back there we've got more evidence Peter Parker's been here. You might disagree with me now, but I just think they're a really pretty car. And 10 years ago I wouldn't have given one house room. Now all of a sudden I think they've genuinely hit classic status. That could be touched in carefully, couldn't it? Try and keep it original. Okay then. We've only got the one key, and interestingly it looks like a Land Rover L322 key from the same sort of era. So, it smells a bit sort of musty. It doesn't smell damp though, which is good. It's just wants a bit of TLC, really, like the guy said. We've got electric seats, which work. It's just full of leaves and hair and dust. Electric seats, I imagine, was quite a good option on these. Right, let's have a look under the bonnet then. So, it's been years since I've been in one of these. Electric mirrors. We've got a Sony face-off stereo there. Look at the size of the clock. Yeah, like Big Ben. It's been smoked in. Oh, that doesn't work, does it? How disappointing, I'll have to order a brand new one. Right. We've got an electric roof. I thought these were all manuals. Little storage compartment there. Somewhere for your crisps. Antenna. Is that a new bonnet release, is it? I don't know. Oh, maybe not. I thought it was the lever for a bonnet. We've got a new window switch. That needs some new leather dye, doesn't it? It's just very... there's been a dog in here, isn't there? Hasn't there, should I say? There's been a dog in here, hasn't there? Decent sized glove box. Got a cover there. Right, so then, I'll leave the logbook there so we don't reveal anyone's name. We've got what looks like all the previous MOTs. Various receipts for various things. Pity it's not got leather seats really, isn't it? Although these cloth ones should clean up quite well. So, service history then. It's got a bit, hasn't it? So it was... The PDI was done in 1999. Doesn't tell you who the dealer was. HGL Another one at 15, then 27. BMW Reading, Rydale Central 43, then 66, then Worcester at 78 in 2010. And another one at 79, probably the year after. So this hasn't had a service then, or at least a recorded service for 12 years. I'll have to run this down to my mechanic then and get them to give it a full going over. I love this era of BMW. So it's done 90,493 miles. Remember the old service indicators on this era of BMs. No aircon. Quite cool though, isn't it? Do you think, or have I just lost the plot? Quite like the gear lever as well. That's quite a big lump, isn't it? Wasn't expecting the engine to be so big. So it is a Z3 Roadster built by BMW in July 99. Well, it's much the same story under here, isn't it? I imagine the air filter looks like this. Imagine it's full of birds' nests. I know loads of you don't like it when I do this, but it's not the worst oil I've ever seen, to be fair. It's not like treacle. So I think if this drives okay, I can run it to my mechanic for a full service. Plugs, fluids, filters, the whole lot, the whole works. Maybe drain the coolant and top it up with fresh. Just treat it to a little bit of love. Let's have a look in the boot, shall we? How do you get in the boot on a Z3? Right. Someone's taken that out. Perhaps while I've had it on trickle charge, maybe. Well, the battery looks new, doesn't it? Battery's new. No idea what that is. Got the aerial there, which should go in there like that. But I think something's broken. Don't have to be a detective to figure that one out. We've got a rusty toolkit, locking wheel nut. Yeah, it just wants a good digging out, this car, doesn't it, really? And for some reason, got the longest threaded bar ever there, which is stopping the floor from fitting properly. I don't want to do what I did with that MR2 and put a brand new roof on it that cost 1,500 quid. Just wouldn't be sensible, that, would it? Let's fire up then, shall we? There's only one key as well, unfortunately, but I could get a spare one cut, I think. We've got half tank of juice. Took a little bit longer than I would have liked to start, but straight away, you can't beat BMW engines, in my opinion. It's nice and smooth. Right, I'm just pressing the accelerator pedal there, and it feels like it's set in concrete. It feels very, very stiff. I need to get that looked at. Don't know whether it's a cable or the whole pedal or what. Who knows? Well, there's not an awful lot else I can show you here. Got no warning lights on. Right, my windows don't work. You can hear something clicking, some sort of relay clicking, but they don't work. What about the roof? No, that's dead as well. Completely dead. Right, well, don't panic just yet, because it might just be a fuse. A little vanity mirror there. Yeah, it could well just be a fuse which is linked to the whole thing. Should we take it for a drive then, see how it performs? Quite looking forward to this. Right. Let's get my seatbelt on, and quite difficult not to stall this with such a stiff accelerator pedal. Quite solid over the bumps though. I'm expecting my brakes to be quite grindy, and they're not. Oh yeah. What a nice old thing. I've been in it for 3 seconds and I'm already quite smitten with it. Feels quite solid, quite tight for a 24-year-old car. Ah, it's been fitted with the optional extra of indicators. Most BMWs aren't afforded such a luxury. Nobody's going to let me go here, are they? Nobody. Before I bought this, I assumed this would be worth... You're going to let me go? No one's going to let me go, are they? Nobody. I hate edging out onto the road like this. There we go, thank you. Before I bought this, I assumed this would be worth maybe £3,000 retail, so I thought at £1,500 it gives me a budget of maybe, I don't know, £750 perhaps. Then hopefully it would leave me another £750 profit. But if I could get everything working, it might be worth a little bit more than that. Or I might just keep it, I'm not sure. Drives nice. The clutch is very nice actually. I think cars like this just really want driving. 200 miles a year isn't enough. I think what I'm going to do then is run it down to my mechanics, give it a full service, spark plugs, fluids, filters, the whole lot. Doesn't need MOT because it was done in June, so that's fine. I think I'll get them to give it a good check over as well while it's there. Make sure there's nothing else that needs doing. I'll get them to check the fuses and see why my windows don't work and the roof doesn't work, because really that needs fixing. Then what? Then I need to run it to Jimmy's, get him to do something with this bodywork. I think with a good old clean-up and a good buff, this paintwork should come back looking quite nice. I can tell the bonnet has had paint. It's been painted before, but you know, it's 24 years old. Doesn't really bother me that much, as long as I can get it looking presentable. A bit like that Audi A4 convertible I did recently. Yes, it's had paint. Does anybody care? Not really. And really, 90,000 miles on a car like this isn't an awful lot, is it? I'm just hoping it's not rotten underneath. I hope my mechanic says it doesn't need welding. It's always a risk when I buy cars blind from viewers. Sometimes they're immaculate, they're absolutely impeccable. Other times they're a bit of a project. And I haven't got time to go all over the country and actually look at them in person, so it's just a roll of the dice. Sometimes I make a decent profit, and other times I get stung a little bit. I think it all boils down to honesty. If you give me a fair, honest description of it, then I can try and work out a fair price. In terms of the description on this, it needs some TLC. I think it was quite an honest description. It does need some TLC. Right, let me crack on with the work then, and I'll catch up with you later on. Quick update for you then with the Z3. I've had the mechanical bits done. It's had a service, MOT, with no advisory items. It needed a new battery and a few other bits and pieces. I'll get onto that later. And I've had the bodywork buffed. Now, it has had some paintwork before on the bonnet and places, but I didn't want to go too far with it because I don't want this to be, well, I don't want this to owe me a fortune. So instead, I've just had the car buffed, well, from top to bottom. And it looks pretty good now. I'm quite pleased with it. I still need to give it a valet, and I've just noticed it's missing its aerial, so I need to order one of those. But I can't get the roof working. I thought the windows weren't working, so it's had new window regulators, and I thought that might help the roof work, but it still doesn't work. So we're up here today at the Z Shed in Warrington, who are a BMW Z car specialist. So hopefully we'll be able to get this roof working. Got a very damp seat there. Okay, roof. So yeah, it's had two new window regulators, but I didn't know it had an electric roof even because the switch is right at the back, but it's just dead. My mechanic thought it was the body control unit, so that's been replaced, but it's still not working.
Okay. These have what's called a semi-automatic roof, where you've got to do a little bit of the work yourself. Basically, you undo the latches. You should get that one for me, Matt.
Yep.
That's it, and then push it up, and that's the start of the roof going back.
Oh.
The trick a lot of people don't realise with Z3s is you've got to have your foot on the brake when you operate the electric roof for some strange reason. Probably to stop Americans getting their heads caught.
Are you expecting this to work then now?
No, that switch doesn't feel right.
No, I thought that.
Yeah.
It feels dead, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It feels dead, that switch. What we'll do is we'll plug it into diagnostic, but because it's quite an early car, the full OBD protocol wasn't really established when these came out, so that normally they have a 16-pin OBD connector here, but they have a 20-pin OBD connector under the bonnet as well. And it's a case of some information is available on one and some information is available on the other.
Yeah.
But it may just be a case of good old fault finding rather than diagnostic, because we may not actually be able to talk to the roof module anyway. So we'll crack on with that.
Yeah,
Let's get the
fair
bonnet up. So that's your 16 pin one, and that's your 20 pin one. And you use an adapter. I was going to sit in front of the computer and see what I can see. That's the screen showing the number of modules we speak to in a Z3. If that was a Z4, there'd be 2 or 3 times as many. If that was something newer, like a G series or X5, there'd be 50 or 60 modules. So it's showing some faults. Have you had any issues on any engine management lights, Matt?
No, nothing. As I drove down, because it had a flat battery yesterday because it'd been parked up for days.
Right.
As I drove there this morning, the airbag light flickered on, but then it went off again. So,
Right,
but
okay.
no other warning lights.
As per, it's not really telling us anything about the roof at all.
And that's just because it's quite a primitive system, then, is it?
Yeah. We can't actually even see the roof module on here, so we're going to have to do a little bit of investigation. So back to the car.
Okay.
Right. So I'm going to start with that switch. To be fair, because it doesn't feel right, that switch. Been a bit wet in there. These get wet when someone leaves the roof down.
Right.
I think our fault could well lie.
The dodgy switch.
That switch, if you feel it,
Yeah.
there's nothing in one direction.
Yeah. No. Yeah. There's nothing there, is there?
And it's blown slightly, it's pushing itself
with corrosion.
apart. Yeah. So we've got a switch. We also have an absolutely immaculate hood with a completely clear and uncreased rear screen.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, they do.
They can seal at the door anymore.
Right, yeah. Well, these, believe it or not, these little bits of rubber here, I've replaced 2 of these. Yeah. That piece and that piece from BMW are £79 each.
Really?
Yeah. Right. And there's 4 of them for a little piece of rubber.
No, that would be great if you
Let me just ring BMW. Probably.
Right, okay.
I'll check to see if we do have any power to the back of that switch with the power probe.
There would be there if it's...
Yeah, well, there's a supply there, so I'm hoping there's a switch, yeah. Right, it's more than a switch, that. Instead of a set of contacts, it's actually a solid state switch by the look of it. I'm just going to put a mark on the top so I know which way it was up. I'm going to put the button back on it. I'm going to take the button off and see if there's anything behind the button itself. There's 2 tiny buttons inside. Sometimes they're just like a rubber mat.
Yeah.
With a conductive thing on the back, like you get in calculators and keyboards.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're actually switches. I can't tell what they are, but it'd be worthwhile plugging it back in and just manually pressing those, I think. See if we get anything. Still nothing. Hang on. Can someone hold that there?
Yeah.
The reason being, holding it there activates a micro switch. Yeah, it needs to be there. It won't lift. Still nothing. What I suggest now, just to make sure that it is the switch, is we get to the hydraulic motor, which is located down there.
Okay.
And I get power to it.
Right.
To make sure that the pump itself's working, which we can do with the power probe.
Okay.
There's our pump motor there. It is all wet in here, isn't it?
Yeah.
The condensation. But that's our roof motor there.
Okay.
And a quick way of testing the system is, it's a very simple roof motor on these, very similar to the Z4. It's not a fancy pump, it just pumps one way to put the roof up and it reverses to put the roof down.
Oh, right.
There's no valves or switches or anything
Okay.
inside the motor like there are on other stuff. That's your emergency release if you want to put the roof down.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's been turned. So
Has it?
someone's obviously had issues with it.
Right.
So what I want to do, the easiest way of testing the whole system in one go, rather than just put power to the pump, is there's 2 motors here.
Yeah.
And these are changeover, 2 relays, sorry. These are changeover relays and they change the direction that the pump works in. If I pop the covers off them and put them back in place, if it squeeze them, the motor should operate one way and then the other. Okay. And that's a relatively quick test that we do on pretty much all BMs with the same system. Okay, squeezing those relays, nothing's happening.
Right.
So you just need to see if there's power to those relays. So we've got power and a ground.
Okay.
And 2, 3, yeah, that'd be 3 to control the relays. The 3 lighter wires will be to control the relays. 12 volts. I mean, the motor's pretty high up, so hopefully it's not got water in it. And if we disconnect the actual supply straight to the motor, it's not clipped in place, someone's been in here.
Yeah. It's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah. And this is the supply. This is the actual motor itself, which we can give 12 volts to. It's dead.
Yeah.
So we need to take that motor out and strip it.
Right.
There's every chance the motor can be repaired.
Okay. Are they interchangeable with Z4 motors or not?
No, the difference. Do you know what I think's happened here?
What?
That base there has been letting water in onto the motor. If you look
That would make sense.
up under here,
Yeah.
there's a corrosion.
Yeah.
And this is the top. It's been letting water into
There's
the motor.
nowhere else it'd get.
So that motor's really high. Obviously, the water level will need to be up to here to drown that motor. But because that's been leaking, that's let
dripped
water
down
onto
onto
there.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to get the motor off it.
So motor, switch.
Motor switch. I'd hold off on the switch for now.
Yeah. Right.
Because obviously the motor's not working. If that motor had worked, I'd have said, yeah, let's go for a switch. But at least we can get one at a reasonable cost.
Okay.
We need to pull that motor out and basically do what we do with the Z4 motors, which is strip them.
Yeah. Right.
Strip them.
See what's at fault with it.
And get the motor working again. It's unlikely that the motor will need replacing.
Okay.
I've seen some pretty bad Z4
They
motors.
still work.
Yeah, and I can get them working. Some of them look like they've been at the bottom of the Titanic, and they still work once they've been stripped and cleaned. So that's what I would suggest now. So once we get that motor working and we know that's got power to it, the relays are working, then we can look at the switch if the switch is an issue.
Okay. All right. Can we look into replacing the hood as well?
Yeah, no problem at all. We can get you a hood and fit it.
And an aerial base.
Yeah, and an aerial base, no problem at all.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Brilliant. So we've got a plan.
Yeah. Okay. Nice one.
And we're back in the cheap BMW Z3, and I've got a bit of a spoiler alert for you. It's not so cheap anymore. I have massively overspent on this one, but on the bright side, look at it now. It looks really good. I'm genuinely quite pleased with myself on this one because I've rescued something that was neglected and looked all sorry for itself, and now it's a genuine 25-year-old little classic. When I eventually find a nice new home for it, this should continue to run and be on the roads for many years to come, and I like that. Genuinely, I think that's a good thing. Forget about making profit. Who needs profit? This whole process of taking a sow's ear and turning it into a silk purse was quite a long-winded one, and it turned out to be quite costly too. After we last spoke, I think it was a month or so ago now, but I think we were at Mike's, weren't we? We were at the Z Shed. Well, Mike and his team, or shouldn't miss this opportunity to call him Mike and the Mechanic. Shut up, Mike and the Mechanics did a really good job. They found a replacement roof for it and fitted that, so I've now got a nice watertight Z3. The old one was letting in water, and every time I got to sit in it, I had wet jeans, and then it kind of ruined the day. But now, it's holding out the water, and it looks really good. And, most importantly, I can see through the rear view mirror. Well, I can see out the rear window through the rear view mirror. Before, it was all opaque. Now I can actually see the Peugeot 308 behind me. Apparently this roof came off a Z3 which had a hardtop fitted, so it hadn't been exposed to the elements, which is good, because anything this age will have a pretty tatty roof. He's also fixed the roof motor, so happily this nice new roof folds up and down perfectly, exactly as it should. While it was there, he replaced the aerial, which means I've now got a radio reception so I can listen to music, and more importantly, it means that it isn't leaking in water into the roof motor area. So all being well, it shouldn't really happen again. The only thing left to do to this is replace the accelerator cable. Now, if you remember, I think I told you this at the start, but the accelerator pedal is very stiff. Now, Mike explained that they have a cable, and if you can imagine, it's like a cable on your bike. So when you operate the accelerator pedal, it pulls on that cable. But the cable, the metal cable, has a plastic shroud. Over time, the shroud gets brittle and cracks, allows water in, then the cable rusts and swells up, so the passage, well, isn't very smooth. So there's too much resistance. So he's ordered one, I think it was £47 from BMW, but it's on back order for about 4 weeks. So I haven't had a chance to do that, but he said it's only about a 10-minute job. I mean, it's still okay, it's just not as free and easy as it should be. In addition to everything I've told you so far, it's also had a window regulator, another window regulator, a battery, a body control module, some mats, some new plates, a buff and detail, a valet. I think that's it. I've got quite a big bill here, so I think what I'll do, put myself out of my misery, park up somewhere pretty and scenic, and I'll talk you through my bills, my costs. Here we'll do then. Next to this lovely overflowing bin with graffiti on it. Just try and look that way. Got a nice dry stone wall and some hills. Okay, where should we start then? Right. I have got a bit of a list here. Quite a lengthy one. May as well knock the engine off. Right then. If you remember, the car started out life at £1,500, which I thought was cheap. Should know better, shouldn't I? The transport cost me, I think, 200. I can't quite remember, so this isn't an exact thing, but I think it was 200. My bill at the Z Shed was £717, which I actually think was really reasonable when you consider the amount of work that's gone into this and the parts. So, parts used immaculate complete roof assembly, £400. Oh, he's giving me a discount here as well. Right, so that was £350. Used roof switch module, £100 down to 60. Used aerial base with amplifier and mast, £100 down to 60. Aerial grommet, more cheese grommet. That was £13, no discount there. Right, so he's actually diagnosed in-op roof, switch faulty motor, seized due to water ingress, remove pump assembly, strip, refurbish and test motor, refit, replace roof switch, replace aerial base, amplifier, as well as damaged. Oh, right, yeah, okay. Replace complete roof assembly with good used. Remove lower dash panel and lubricate accelerator pedal. That hasn't really made much difference. But, like I say, my bill there was £717, which I was quite pleased with, really. I know that's half the cost of the car, but anyway, we'll move on. My bill at my other mechanics, there was £40 for MOT test fee. Oil and filter, that was £28 for oil, £9.50 for an oil filter. Offside front brake caliper, that was seized, that was £60. Fit the window regulators and motor and brake control module. I don't know what that means. Body control module maybe. Rectify ABS and airbag faults. I think they were linked to the body control module, I think. I found one on eBay. Some labour, quite a bit of labour. That was £577. In addition to that, we've got a battery at £98.59 plus VAT, so 11831. What else? The window regulators, I found them on eBay actually. One was 50 and one was 30, so we've got £80 there. The mats were 14, the plates were 15. The paintwork, right. I took it to Jimmy the magician, and he buffed the whole car. He called me up and he said, right, how far do you want to go with this Z3? So I thought, right, well, I'm into it too far anyway. I'm not going to paint the whole car, it's 25 years old, just try and make it look as nice as you possibly can. And I think I've succeeded. He hasn't painted the bonnet, well, in fact, he hasn't painted anything. He's just buffed the whole car to within an inch of its life, and it looks really good. You can still see the odd mark and scratch here or there, but I think it presents quite well. He then thoroughly cleaned and detailed the rest of the car, and he's touched in any marks, and it looks nice. It looks nice anyway. That was £295. The valet cost me £90. Is that it? I think that's it. Right, let's work this out then. Give me a minute, you might want to pop the kettle on. So we've got £1,189.31 plus 717 at the Z Shed plus the transport, 2,106. Oh, plus the price of the car. These would be good deals, wouldn't they, if I didn't have to pay for the car? That was £1,500. So my grand total. Oh, there's a body control unit as well somewhere. Let me go onto my eBay purchase history. Oh, 25 quid. That's not bad, is it? 24.95. Right. My grand total for this little BMW Z3, for saving another modern classic, is £3,631.26. I've currently got this advertised for £3,995. Which, I don't know, I've not looked to see what's out there, but for a BMW Z3 in this condition with a working roof that's only done 90,000 miles, I don't think it's bad really. I'm sure like anything you could find a cheaper one, but it is fairly well sorted now. So, in fact, let me demonstrate this roof. So you pull a lever there like that, pull another one like that, press the brake pedal, weirdly, for no apparent reason, twist your back fully on your neck like an owl. Oh, you got to help it. You got to help it along a little bit as well, and then it triggers a micro switch apparently, and then voila! Electric roofs have come a long way, haven't they, recently? Well, over the last few years, anyway. So that's that. That's my fully functioning electric roof on my Z3. So, cheers guys, thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. I'll leave the link below. And yeah, cheers guys. See you next time. Actually, I'm going to shut this because it's December and it's 4 degrees outside. Are you ready for this? One more, let me just loosen up again. There we go, for some brake. poetry in motion, isn't it? Poetry in motion.